Hey y'all, and welcome back to Hello the Podcast. I'm your host, Jayla, and we have a lovely guest today. This is Thomas Jones, Thomas J.I.V. J.I.V., right? Yep, Thomas J.I.V. And he's here with us on the show, and we're going to have a great conversation. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas J.I.V. I'm a music artist and a music and fashion curator. We'll get into that in a bit. And I'm just a creative. I make music, I make spoken word, I put on fashion shows. I'm also the CEO and curator of Faséon. So I do a little bit of a lot, you know what I'm saying? So that's just a little bit about me.
Nice. Tell us a little bit about Faséon.
Faséon is a community that I have built and am continuing to build. Really just creating space for creatives from music and fashion worlds colliding. To me, music and fashion are not mutually exclusive. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm picking out my favorite outfit, I need my favorite music in the background, and I'm just in the vibe. I'm feeling it. It's always been me. I've always loved music and loved fashion, and I couldn't see myself differentiating or choosing one. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let me bring it together. In stepping into my new era as a creative, I was looking for community. And I was like, let me create my own community. Yeah. Let's see how that goes. Yeah. So that's what inspired me to start Faséon. And really, my whole goal is to create a platform for people and creatives in music and creatives in fashion to come together and also exchange and barter resources. And I want to foster collaboration. And I've already been able to do some of that through my last show, thankfully, and to see now some of my models collaborating, because some of my models are also music artists and different things like that. Some play music instruments. So now to see the cross-pollination, I'm like, this is everything that I wanted. So really just creating that space. I want creatives to come out and network, find their new videographer, photographer, find their next host, their producer, some background singer, find somebody that can play an instrument for their live band accompaniment that they need for whatever. And really just create that safe space for creatives to know that we out here, we in Atlanta, and we grinding.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. So you're here to also talk about your EP, The Rebirth. So tell us a little bit about that. It's got a little bit of everything, especially everything that I feel like embodies you. You know, you have your family on there. Absolutely. I know you've always been very family oriented. Back up. Sorry, y'all. We went to college together, so that's how I know Thomas. Yes. And he's doing great things now, and I definitely wanted to have him on the show. Yes. But a lot of your EP has your family on it. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So my EP, The Rebirth, is really about me reintroducing myself to the world. Previous to this year, I don't believe anybody knew that I was creative, really. I hadn't publicized that side of myself. So I wanted to reintroduce myself as a creative, almost like starting over. And I had to take people from the beginning. And so that started with my mom, go through my aunt, my grandmother's on it, and then closing out with my dad. I really wanted people to understand who I am as Thomas J.I.V, the artist, the creative, but most importantly, the person. So that's why it was important for me when I was thinking about me and what I love is my family. If you want to know anything about me, family is number one for me. Yeah. So it was extremely important for them to be a part of my journey and my story, because they were pivotal in me finding my purpose and finding, what makes me happy. I wouldn't have found that without support and love of my family. So nice. Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah, the EP, like I said, it definitely gave me chills, and it had me ending with a little tear in my eye. Oh. So yes, it was just very, very special, and I'm very glad that you are now sharing your talents with the world. So tell us about, our conversation today is about purpose and walking in your purpose, and maintaining that walk on in your purpose. So tell us a little bit about your purpose and how you really realized what your purpose was, and then how you came back to your purpose.
Absolutely. So I'll say we'll end off there with the rebirth, because that was the output of me finding my purpose. And just as a kid, music and fashion is something that's always been in my life from my family growing up in Miami. I come from a musical family. My grandmother, she sang background for, I forget her name, the one, greens, beans, potatoes, Shirley Caesar. Yeah. There we go. She sang background for Shirley Caesar. She was in different groups and quartet groups and all of that. And then my uncle, on my dad's youngest brother, he's just a self-taught musical genius. He taught himself how to play the piano and organ. He taught my grandmother how to play the organ, and he built a family studio. So we used to have family albums as a kid doing road trips. We're not listening to the radio or listening to other gospel albums. We're listening to my aunt, my grandmother, my granddad, my cousins singing and doing covers of different hymns and gospel songs. And at 7, I was like, I want to be on the next family album. So I wrote my very first song at the age of 7 called Nobody Can Stop Me.
So you talk about straying from your purpose. So tell us a little bit about how you came back to your purpose and how you even realized, you were straying from your purpose to begin with.
Absolutely. So it really came to me maybe about a year and a half ago. And I was in a very, very dark place that I never thought that I would be in. I heard people say that they've suffered through depression, and the hardest thing was getting up in the morning or, putting their clothes on. And I was like, I'm like, how is it hard to get up? Get your ass up, get some coffee, start your day. You'll feel better later. Like, it's because you staying down in the bed, playing around. But I slowly found myself being in that space. Like, I did not want to get up for work. When my alarm clock went off, it was like gloom and doom overcame my body. I wasn't happy. I wasn't productive. I just was stuck. That's all I felt I just felt stuck. I had looked up and gained 30, 40 pounds just because food had become my escape from work, from life, from everything. And I had to get back to the basics of finding out what makes me happy. And it's always been music, and it's always been fashion. And that's when I made the concerted effort to follow my passion, follow fashion, and music came with that. And I thought, I did chorus from 6th to 12th grade. That just goes to show I've always loved music, but I saw myself as a singer. I never thought of rapping. So when I hung it up after high school, I was like, I'm not going to be a Grammy Award winning singer because I can hold a tune, but I was like, people want to hear some runs and riffs, and I ain't got that. So I was like, maybe I'm going to help somebody else be a singer, help write something. So I gave that up. But slowly I found my voice in rapping and really was able to, I had to put the doubt behind me. I think that's what was holding me back of what will people think? People know me as Thomas the smart guy, Thomas the one that went corporate, Thomas the one that traveled, and and I was scared of rejection, of feeling like they won't understand the creative Thomas. They won't understand the vulnerable Thomas when it comes to getting into those spoken word pieces, and even some of my songs are very, very vulnerable. So feeling like maybe my friends wouldn't understand, or maybe people will see me differently, or maybe they would take me as a joke. All of those fears had seeped in and crept into my brain and my mind. And I have become creatively constipated because I'm a creative person. So ideas are coming to me literally 24/7. Like sometimes I got to pull over on the side of the road because ideas are just coming. And so when I wasn't executing or getting those ideas out there, it was bottling up in me and like hardening. And it was stopping me from being a great friend, a great professional, a great son. Sometimes I feel, and because I wasn't happy with me. And once I released that and relinquished that and said, fuck it, and really just did what I wanted to do, I started to find myself again. And also too, one thing that was extremely pivotal for me finding back to my purpose was in February of this year, I fasted for 30 days from alcohol, from sweets, from bread, from anything that would cloud my mind or my body. I needed a clean and fresh start. I started journaling, and when I tell you that was the most transformative time of my life, because I really was able to get grounded back into who I am outside of anything that takes my mind to another place. You know what I'm saying? I was really able to get back to the basics of who is Thomas, what makes Thomas happy. Thomas loves fashion. Thomas loves music. Why isn't Thomas doing it? And so another place that I want to shout out, Poetry on Peter, is in Atlanta. It is a dope place. And that's really where I found my voice. I had maybe 2 songs at the time. It was some stuff that I had wrote my freshman year in college, probably 4 or 5 years old at the time. But one thing, thankfully, even when I was playing around with music before, lyricism has always been important. So I was able to take that and turn it into a spoken word piece. So I'm like, this spoken word. People was like, it's great. Because I always took it serious, even when it wasn't serious, So at going to that place every Monday, building my confidence. And then I was just like, people coming up, they're like, Thomas, where your music at? And I'm like, I don't got no music. And then just realizing it was really when I wrote God Given. that was the moment when I knew that the music that I'm making is not just for my ears, it's for the world, and it's to inspire, and it's going to help people find their purpose and find their rebirth, because that's what rebirth is about, reintroducing myself and now standing in my purpose and in my light. And I really want to inspire others, and others have come to me and literally said, like, you know, I've had some of my models' parents came to me and was like, I was into fashion, I was at Paris Fashion Week, and I was doing XYZ, and I had stopped, and your show inspired me to get back to my purpose. And I was just like, wow, to see that, you know, me with this idea and this dream and executing on it, and I put my show on in like 3 months, so, and put my EP together in 3 months. So to know that I had such limited time and was able to create something that's been so profound to people is just amazing. And I've been walking in my purpose, I feel like, for such a little amount of time, but it's made such a big impact, and I'm extremely proud of that.
Nice. So, did I hear that right? You did that in 3 months?
I did it in 3 months.
3 months?
3 months. I wrote God Given in about April.
Wow.
Yeah. Put it out in May.
Wow. So walk us through those 3 months. What was that like?
It was very hectic. It was very, the idea came to me. So I wanted to that's when I started stepping into fashion. For my birthday, I did a Get Ready With Me series. I was like, okay, I'm about to start getting into fashion. I'm about to start doing it. And I was working with my boy Darius, who I'm working with on an event later this month. And he was like, okay, he sat down with me. He was like, Thomas, what are you trying to do? And I really didn't know what the fuck I was trying to do at the time. But we worked with what I had. I was like, I want to do fashion. I want to do virtual fashion shows. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I got this great idea. I'm going to do a virtual fashion show, and that's going to be like my music video. And she was like, no, your fashion show is going to be how you release your EP, your project. I said, what EP? She was like, the one you about to write. I was like, huh? I was like, I got like 2.5 songs. Like, what you mean an EP?
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, that's you got everything. She said, son, you got everything that you need. And when she said that, I looked around and I was like, it don't feel like I got everything I need, but if I feel like I got everything I need, my mama told me I got everything I need, let's see what happens. And when I started, I didn't have everything that I needed, but as I continued, it all came. It all started pouring in, you know, because initially I had a lot of doubts. I'm like, I'm doing an EP release in a fashion show, never put out an EP, never put on a fashion show. I've only been in one fashion show in undergrad, which was about 6 years ago. So it was all of these things that were telling me, you know, outside thoughts of like, you know, are you doing too much? Do people understand it? Are they going to grasp what you're trying to convey? Are people going to come out and support? Are people going to walk in your fashion show? You've never done a fashion show. People going to be like, who the hell is this? And it was all of these doubts, but I just had the audacity. And that's my word of this year, is having the audacity to dream, to do, but most importantly, to execute. Having that audacity drove me to a sold out show in 3 months, drove me to what you call a masterpiece of an EP, which is such a big compliment. Like, I don't even think you understand. But really just, it was a lot of moments too where I woke up like, what the fuck are you doing? It was a lot of times driving where I just, what are you doing? Like, all this money you spending, you could be in Bali somewhere, chilling, drinking 5 stars for $10. You know, so it was extremely hard, but it was very worth it.
Nice. So the production's great. Sounds great. Lyrics are great. So did you kind of write it in order? Did you have an idea of how you wanted to order it? It just came together before you put it out?
No. So first song I had was Mrs. Green. First song I had ever written. And I had written Icy Cold maybe in February. And then Go Slow I had written maybe like in 2023, like early 2023. I was literally playing around. And when I performed it at Poetry on, people were like, I fuck with this. I'm like, yo, I fuck with this raunchy ass shit. And I was like, okay. And so what I did was actually Go Slow and Icy Cold were recorded to different beats initially. I went and found some beats of higher quality where I was like, let's go find the style and the feel that I'm looking for, and re-recorded that. And then once I started recording, the EP was supposed to be maybe like 4 songs. As I started recording, my third eye just open, everything open, and that's when I got Soul Blown. That's when I wrote "In Her Garden." That's when I wrote 1234. That's when I wrote "Thank You, I'm Thankful." The whole second half of the album was written within maybe like a month and a half of the EP rapping. But I started out with God Given was when I knew I was going to do an EP. I had already had Icy Cold and Go Slow, so I had 3 songs at that point. And Mrs. Green, of course. And they weren't written in order. I would say Mrs. Green's 2016, we had Go Slow, then we had Icy Cold, then we had God Given, and then everything else kind of came into play. But I wanted to make sure with this EP that every type of listener had at least 2 songs that they could vibe to. One that is kind of in their pocket of what they already listened to, and then another song that's different from what they would traditionally listen to. But because of what I put together, they're like, oh, I really love this. So that was my whole goal with my project. It's like, I want to have something for everybody. I want to have something, and it's helped me in my performance spaces because every event is different. Some events, they want the rah-rah turn up. You know, some events, they're like, well, we're not cursing. We have sponsorships. And so I'm like, cool, I got something for you too. Like, whatever. And I'm happy I did that because it's like, now I can go and perform wherever. I could perform for the Queen of England or the King of England now if I need to. And I can go perform at the Trap Cafe and T.I. spot if I need to. You know what I'm saying? So I have something for everybody. So that's one thing that I'm extremely proud of.
So how did you work out the order? Like, when you obviously you start with Mother to Son, you with Father to Son, and you said that came last.
So I'm glad you brought me back to that because really what I wanted to show was the story of me coming and stepping into my purpose.
Gotcha.
So starting off with my mom, she talks about the beginning, then we go into God Given. God Given is me reaffirming my purpose and taking me back to my roots, essentially. Mrs. Green is a story about me basically finding green marijuana. My first time. It talks as if it's my first time losing my virginity, but it's my first time being introduced to marijuana. And also, but at the end, there's a small spoken word piece that I have, and that's really talking about how I use that as a crutch in my time of darkness. Because lately there's been a lot more frustration than meditation with a lot on my mind. In a blunt in rotation, I got this herb burning slow, can't forget the filtration. I let that pool hit my soul like a self-affirmation. Want to hit. So that just takes you into there in that space of darkness. And then I start to build my confidence with Icy Cold. That's me popping my shit, me stepping into my fashion vibes of like.
You can keep going.
That's me stepping into my fashion vibes of like, I got that shit on. Everybody know I got that shit on. Go Slow is me kind of talking my shit in the dating scene of like, I'm that guy, kind of finding my confidence in that again. And then it takes you into Soul Blown. And that's me kind of going into that puppy love stage in a relationship when you kind of find this person that you like and you want to take it more than just the physical. It's Soul Blown is about mental stimulation. So kind of penetrating that theory and that thought process. And then I went into In Her Garden, which is really going into the depths of how men create spaces for women or anybody in that matter of a woman should be treated like a garden, essentially, in that what you put in, you receive. The seeds you sow are, what you consume. And the more that you put in I didn't realize until I was listening back to In Her Garden. It really goes through the hardship and the hard part at the end, at the beginning of like, I talk about thorns and I talk about tending in the rain and in the snow and through hailstorms. But at the end, I talk about how I seek solace in my garden. And when I seek solace in, it's an altar for me to bear, everything that's heavy on me. That's where I go where, I feel like my crown has been shifted by the world. That's it. And it's a really transformational piece that really shows the process of cultivating space with a woman or cultivating a relationship with a woman. It's a lot of hard work. But if you do it right and if you do it with care and with purpose, you will be very grateful. You'll always have a place for solace and a place for peace. And just I'm speaking to the guys there too, like letting them know that, hey, this is how you should cultivate space with a woman. It's not gonna be easy, but it's worth it. So, and then from there to Her Garden, I believe we have 1234. That tells you my whole journey of finding my purpose of like, I seek solace in my mama's eyes, strength in my daddy's pride. Thank God they gave me the sight, the sequence between the lines. Finally freed to shine, I kept tucked between the blinds and really let my light shine. And talking about that, and then I end with the conversation that I had with God, of him basically being like, son, I gave you this gift. How dare you keep it in? And so that was that. Then I end with thank you, I'm thankful. That talks about, you know, my time in Miami with my grandmother, my cousins, my upbringing, and my grandmother's featured on there. And then we close out with my father. So it's just that whole evolution of me being in a dark place and getting back that confidence, going through relationships, and then coming back to my purpose at the end. So
Yes. And you talk about wanting to show people who you are. And I feel like that definitely shows, like, obviously I know you and I've known you for a long time, but it did feel like a conversation with an old friend. Like, and I say that, but also I want to give a little bit of discretion as well. Like, I've felt that same way about like J. Cole albums. Like, I felt that same way of like what album was that? Where he has like Folding Clothes and She's Mine and like all those songs.
For Your Eyes Only?
Yes, For Your Eyes Only. I really felt like that felt
that's
like...
a piece of art.
And that's how I felt about the Rebirth. What? Yes. It, like, even though I don't know J. Cole, I felt like at the end of that, I did like kind of have a piece of him. And like, even though I do know you, I felt, and we've been apart for, I don't know how long, but since at least 2020.
Right.
So at least 4 years, but I still felt like, oh, okay, I'm getting to know him again. You know, same thing, like just like riding a bike, they say. Right. So I definitely felt that same familiarity, I guess the word is I'm looking for, that connection and like learning like your family and your roots and your background and everything. It just felt like, you know, we were just chilling and you were like, let me tell you something real quick.
Right.
So it was really, really nice.
That's such an honor, because that's one thing I pride myself on is storytelling. It's all about storytelling, and more than me being an artist, more than me being a stylist or being in fashion, is I tell stories through clothes, through music, through everything. Is if I could get a story across, if I want to take you on a journey.
It's your voice too. You have a very nice voice. And
thank you.
It just flows very nice.
I'm not gonna lie. Growing up, I hated the sound of my voice on recording, even when I did podcasts. But when I heard my voice on the track, I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Okay, I kind of like my voice a little bit. I gotta dance something right there."
That's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. Good. Because it is. It's very nice. I loved it. And like I said, I really want you to know I'm not even gassing you for real, because I don't know, something about like rap music, like it's a hit or miss. It just depends. It depends on the artist. It depends on the album even. So, but I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay.
You know, I took that for my first project.
Yes, absolutely. So you talk about the concept of like your family album and things like that. I definitely believe this is a family album as well. But do you feel like moving forward there will always be like an underlying feature with your family? Or
I think that there will always be some type of family aspect. It won't be as heavy moving forward, because with this project, I wanted to just set my foundation coming into the game of like, this is who I am, this is what's important. And also to let people know this is the support that I have behind me. Like I'm not easily shaken. Like, this is what I have behind me. But they'll always be a part of my projects in some form or fashion, just because they're the ones that's always in my ear cheering me on. I don't think it'll be as heavy as of a presence, but there'll always be that underlying family aspect. And also too, my two younger brothers are rappers as well. Oh, nice. And they are pretty nice. I can't, you know what I'm saying? I give them tough criticism, you know, I'm like my dad on that one. I'll be like, you know, that one was alright, that'd be cool, you know what I'm saying? But so I also see myself in the future doing music with my brothers as well. And it's just great to know that.
Y'all be like, sir, and these folk and
I'm telling you, like,
y'all too.
You're right, yeah, because you know, it's just so amazing too to know that I inspired them to get into music and really, because like I told you, as a kid, I was really into music. Like I had a piano. I was doing piano lessons. Like my grandmother would call me and she'll be like, "This is G, the one next to the black key." So I learned how to play piano like on the phone with my grandma and different stuff like that. And I was the first, like, I joke around, but I was like the first Could Have Been records, because I was writing songs for my brothers and I also made them sign contracts. I made my brothers sign on the dotted line. 360. This is a 360 deal. I literally had it in writing, and I had my brothers. I'd be so ashamed thinking back, but I had my brothers sign contracts on the songs that I wrote for them because they wanted. They would hear me playing on the piano and stuff, and they were like, they wanted songs. So I wrote my brother a song, both my brothers their own songs, and they had to sign that paperwork.
Businessman from the
Look, I was trying to put them on game. You know what I'm saying?
Full 360. I get it all.
Yeah, I want it all.
So now with everything great going on, do you know what you want to do next career-wise or even in any of your other avenues? So as Thomas J.I.V or with Faséon?
Absolutely. So right now, my next thing, I have a show coming out on December 14th. I believe this will already be happening by the time this airs. But with that show, I'm collaborating with Darius Thomas. He writes musicals. And I'm premiering some of my new music that I've been working on. And I'm also doing some of my music from my EP that I put out. And he's also premiering some of his new music from his upcoming musical. And really the motto of Faséon is collaboration is currency, really showing the power of collaboration and not just looking up, trying to collaborate with these top people, looking left and right and realizing you have some amazing creatives and resources that are your peers, that you went to school with, that you are friends with on Instagram, or Facebook, or whatever with, you know. And so I'm bringing an immersive listening experience there where we'll have a live band, live saxophone, live drums, live piano. It's a holiday vibe, so something super intimate like a tiny desk, because Faséon, my fashion show, was a big production. It was a lot of bells and whistles. This, I want to just be about the music. And in the spring, actually, we're doing our next Faséon fashion show. And so, thank you. We're making it bigger. We're making it better. We're incorporating now. I'll be taking a back seat a bit more as an artist. Before I did everything based on my EP. But this time, I'm now looking for new artists to feature and tell their stories of their music through fashion. So creating these different spaces based on, I had some ideas to work with some spoken word artists and incorporating fashion into their music while they perform, having models and fashion, you know, seeing how we can incorporate the two. So really is taking music and fashion curation to the next level, and making those stories that much better. And I always say that music tells a story that fashion can't tell, and fashion tells a story that music can't. So bringing those together at the next level and having more time to think through with my team, I know we're going to have a huge splash, huge impact, and I have some new music coming out soon on the Thomas J.I.V tip. So, you know, be excited, be on the lookout for that. So I'm super excited.
A lot of exciting stuff.
Yes.
So is there anyone that you can think of, at least, that you're kind of in your own lane? But is there anyone you can think of that you would like to aspire to or even surpass, like career-wise or artistic-wise? Do you have just any inspirations? I feel like it's two layers to that. So first, initially, my guy always, J. Cole. That's always been an artist that I admire because he's been authentic to him. Ever since, I'll never forget, I heard him my sophomore year in high school, and I felt seen for the first time in hip-hop. I felt like there was a rapper like me. You know, he went to NYU. He knew that, you know, sports wasn't his way out. That was always me. I knew, okay, football, I'm not the best at. So, but these books, I know this can take me where I need to go. This can get me to that next level or the next step in life. So him being authentic to himself and being like, I was a student. I went and got a scholastic scholarship to NYU. You know, seeing myself reflected in hip hop was extremely important to me. And it let me know that it could be done for me, that I'm not too ostracized to be a contributor to hip hop, into music, into culture. So always big tip to J. Cole. Still to this day, that's my guy. I don't care what nobody says. I don't want to hear it. They can never make me hate you, J. Cole. Right. Diss or no diss. I don't give, you know what I'm saying? That's my boy. And he's always been true to him. He moved to North Carolina. He lived a peaceful life. And he really also taught me what's more important than all the money in the world, all the power in the world, is happiness. Really letting me know that it's important to be happy. Prioritize your happiness and your peace. Because that's important. Absolutely. Now, and I would say, as far as recently, Tyler the Creator and Doechii are my two, those two, they stimulate my creativity in a way that has never been done before. And it's crazy because when Tyler the Creator first came out, I was in middle school,
and I did not understand him.
Me
He was
either.
not for me. He
The
had
whole
the black,
Odd Future Wolfgang.
he had the all black contacts. He was talking real dark into my. I was like, oh, that is the devil. It ain't nothing but the devil. Get me away. But it was actually my younger brother that put me on one of his songs, so where it was like an R&B song. I'm like, this is Tyler.
Right.
I was like, well, I was like, and so that's when I listened to his last album. His last album made my fucking brain explode. I was like, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. And one thing that I respect from music artists more than anything is evolution. When I see you evolved as an artist and as a lyricist and as a creative, like that's how I felt about 21 Savage. To hear his evolution, I wasn't a fan at first, but once he evolved as an artist, that's when I respected it. Like people like T.I., he's always been great since the early 2000s, but still his music evolves. Jay-Z, all the greats, the evolution is what's important to me. Doechii, as soon as I heard her with Persuasion first, and I was like, oh my God. And I always follow her interviews and everything like that. I tell everybody she's like our generation of Missy Elliott. She does everything, you know what I'm saying? And she's super talented. And the idea of fuck the norm, fuck what's trendy. I'm getting back to the basics. Absolutely. I'm getting to what's really hip hop, and I'm standing beside it all 10 toes. And now we see that, okay, we can do that and still have commercial success eventually. So they have been very, very inspirational to me in this next phase of creativity. So those are my inspirations.
Those are good ones. Those are good shout outs. Yes. Love me some Tyler, the Creator. Love me some Doechii. Yes. Hopefully she'll get her Grammy this year.
Hey, she gotta get something.
She got to.
She's from around the way. She's leaving here with something.
Right. Period. All right. So we do have some segments here on the show. So I'm gonna let you pick the segments. We have our fun thoughts.
Okay.
So this is a new thing we're doing. So I'm gonna let you pick. So there is some little baggies in here, but go for the little ball. Okay.
Nervous, guys.
Don't be nervous.
Says Spark of Joy.
Okay, that's one of our new segments. So our last guest, her name is Corey. She came up with that segment. So Spark of Joy. So tell us something you've done in the past week or month or however long that made someone else happy.
Something I've done the last week or month that's made someone else happy. Let's see. I feel like it's something that I've had a busy month. I would say, I would say this. My parents have been extremely proud of me lately.
Good.
And that just seeing them see me has brought joy to my heart. Seeing them at my charity event, seeing them, front row at my shows, them being my number one supporters when it comes to music. For them to be inspired by me as a child. I'm also inspired by them because my parents are phenomenal. They're doing their own things in their creative spaces as marriage coaches, and they're on it. But for my parents to be like, son, we are so proud of you. That, makes my heart full. And knowing that it's not because of how smart I am or how many A's I got on a test, or it's not based on that. It's based on who I am as a creative and as a purpose, as a person that's living in my purpose. For them to be proud of that, and for them to find joy in that and want to post me all the time and tell all their friends about that brings joy to me, because I feel like I'm happy that I'm making them happy by being me and doing what I'm supposed to do.
Nice. All right. So we do two. So pick one more.
Okay. See that one? So I'm all in. Hell of a Hero.
Hell of a Hero. Okay, so that was a new one too. You got both two new ones. So Hell of a Hero is our segment where we want to shout out a hero in your life, or just someone who's doing great things. You're obviously doing great things. So we want to shout out the next person, pass it on. So it could be someone in your life personally, or it could just be someone that you have seen maybe in the media or in the news or online that you think is just doing great things right now and really being a hero, because we need more of those right now.
I won't say, I know it sounds cliche because we've been talking about my damn family. But really my parents, I just came back from my dad's championship game with his Little League team. My dad's been coaching Little League for almost 20 years now. And some of his boys are in the NFL. They're in D1 college scholarship NIL deals. They're really doing a lot, and it shows the importance of him instilling discipline in them at a young age and seeing how far that carries them.
Yeah.
These boys I've seen from 4 or 5 years old to now being in college and now being in the NFL, and them still having that appreciation for my father in the lessons that he instilled in them as children, as a son. I'm super proud of that, to see how he has cultivated a new reinvigorated era and culture at the park, the Little League Park, the North Henry Tigers. He has homecomings now where parents have the inflatables.
Nice.
They coming through the tunnels. To see how he's changed that park since when I was going there, it's just, I'm super proud as a son. And then on the other end, my mom and stepdad, they're marriage coaches now. They also had a collaboration with Macy's recently, in which they let me perform graciously.
Nice.
So I did a performance recently, and to see the space that they're trimming for themselves and that they're creating for themselves as marriage coaches is I'm extremely proud, because really it's helping the Black family as a whole. We have a high rate of divorce, and so for them to take the time to try to cultivate marriages and really try to keep people together through their Love Rekindle community and rekindling marriages and creating those bonds and making those stronger than ever before is profound effects on not just the marriage, but it's also the family at large.
Yeah.
Because when your family can stick together and stay together, it's so powerful, and there's so much good that comes from that. So just to see my parents do their things at the next stages in life, you know, because people feel like I got to do everything in my 20s. My parents, they raised us, they worked very hard, and once we were grown, my parents went full throttle on their own dreams and aspirations, and so they're my hell of a heroes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So I could talk to you all day, but we gotta let you go eventually. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the EP. I really appreciate what you're doing in the community. You're doing great. Keep doing great. And hopefully we'll have you back here soon. Maybe next year after the new whirlwind of a year, because this one, 2024, has been great for you.
It has.
Nice. So tell my people where they can find you.
Yes, you can find me on all streaming platforms at Thomas J.I.V. That is Thomas J.I.V. And you can find me on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter at Thomas_J.I.V. Thomas_J.I.V. And Jayla, I want to say to you, I am so very proud of you.
Thank you.
You have always been a people person and the talker. So this is only, I would have never guessed, but it is so harmonious to see you in this space and to see how you cultivate the questions. And when I saw what I had to work with, I was excited. I was like, this is when I saw you listen to I was like, okay.
I gotta do my homework.
You did the homework. And so just to see you also creating space and platforms for creatives is just so powerful and amazing. And we need people like you as creatives, from one creative to another. I want to say thank you. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So thank you for coming. So glad to have you. We'll have you again soon.
Yes.
And thank you all for watching. You can find the podcast at Hello Podcast everywhere. And we'll see y'all next time.
Peace out.